live, and we are live. Hey Chris, how you doing?
Hello, mate. I'm all right. I'm recovering from a heavy Call of Duty session last night.
Yeah, a late
Uh,
night for you, wasn't it? You're not having
oh yeah. I'm not used. I'm getting older now, so I'm not used to this carry on of sitting up half the night and playing video games. I can't do it. But yeah, very enjoyable. It was good. It was good. It was good fun.
Good stuff. Good stuff. My body clock's a bit messed up at the moment as well. I'm tending to go to bed late, get up late, and so on days where I have to get up early, it's bit of a
Yeah.
struggle. But there you go. So yeah, welcome everybody to the. I suppose this is the Scratch Comics live stream, and for the purpose of today, we are going to be launching live the brand new Dinosaurs versus Cowboys comic book that myself and Chris came up with, and Chris has written a superb script. Well, two superb scripts actually, because there
Thanks very
are
much.
actually there's two strips in there, isn't there, Chris?
There's two strips in there, and then there's going to be some text, a couple of text stories. So yeah, and I mean the artwork's just amazing. I'm completely bowled over by the artists that you managed to get, Shane. It's
We're
fantastic.
very lucky. Yeah, we're very
Yeah.
lucky to get. I mean, we've got John McCrea in there, Eoin Coveney, a little bit from Jimmy Broxton as well, and Steve White, who is like such a great illustrator in the world of dinosaurs. I mean, if anyone's not familiar with his work, Google Steve White, check out his stuff. It's absolutely gorgeous stuff.
So what do we need to fund this then? What are we looking at?
Well, I've already funded a little bit of it. Because I had a lot of belief in this project from the start, so I've actually paid upfront quite a little bit of money for the artists. So the funding target is 7.5K, but it is a flexible target. So with Indiegogo, if you don't hit, it's a bit different to Kickstarter, because with Kickstarter, if you don't hit your target, you get nothing. Which isn't great. You spend a month or whatever it is, trying to raise money. You raise X amount of money, and then if you don't hit a certain target, you don't get anything. Which can be a bit frustrating. So because I've already invested a little bit in it, and because so much work has been done for it, I thought we'd go for a flexible target. So ideally, it would be great to hit the 7.5. But if we don't, we could still go ahead. The book's going to happen, whatever happens, which is a good thing, I think, because sometimes on these things, people are like, "Oh well, if it might not happen if it doesn't hit target, but it's going to happen, whatever," which is a nice position to be in.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those. We know times are tough. We know that it's rough out there, but Scratch Comics, you guys always make sure that the customer gets bang for their buck, right? So there's a lot to this comic. It's I always hesitate to say collector's edition, but these are the artwork, the storylines. This is something that's it's pretty unique. Shane, do you want to maybe give chat about how this came about, where the idea came from?
Yeah, I mean, some people might already be aware, but basically, me and Chris were having a chat, weren't we, Chris? Not long after my dad passed away earlier this year, and we just came into this conversation about this idea of I've always wanted to do a comic with dinosaurs and cowboys. Now, it's not the most original idea in the world. We all know about that. We're all aware of Flesh. We're all aware of lots of other concepts that have dinosaurs and cowboys. But the big inspiration for me, going back to the subject of my dad, was the first movie I ever watched in my life at the age of 3, which I still remember. How do I remember being 3 years old at the age of 50? But I do somehow. I suppose it's one of those core memories. They talk about core memories that sort of shape you. And that's one of those memories. And it was The Valley of Gwangi, which, for those who don't know, an absolute classic dinosaur movie. Ray Harryhausen did the animation on the Allosaurus, and there was a Stegosaurus in there. There was all sorts of really cool dinosaurs. There was a fight with a dinosaur and an elephant. and they did some really cool stuff with interaction between the live action Cowboys and the dinosaurs. Some really clever stuff that was really innovative at the time. There's like a scene where they're lassoing the Allosaurus, and it's like, well, how do we show that the Cowboys are lassoing this creature when it's a stop motion creature? And they solved that. And I mean, people just look at stuff like that now and think, oh, that's just what happens, But back then it was a real problem, and it's really cool how they did it. And if you're interested, check out. There's a couple of videos on YouTube about how they did that. It's really worth checking that out. But that movie was just like such a precious memory to me, that first watching of the movie, which would have been about 1976 or something like that. 1977. It was made a lot earlier than that, but that's when I saw it. And I watched it with my dad. First movie I ever saw, watched it with my dad. Like a really precious memory. And as you grow older as a guy, I think a lot of guys will probably get this, your relationship with your father isn't always great, it can be a bit rocky, and mine certainly was, especially as a teenager. We didn't see eye to eye on pretty much anything at all, and it was not a good relationship at that age, but something that we always had in common, and something that helped us to get back that relationship later on in life, was like a shared love of dinosaur movies and westerns. My dad loved westerns. Like his hero, was John Wayne. And I think he thought he was John Wayne. We all
think we're John Wayne, don't we? I mean, did he do the walk? Did he do the John Wayne walk or anything like that? Did he do that?
Actually, yeah, he probably did. Actually, he was a taxi driver, so every time he got out of his taxi, But but and it was just that memory is just so precious, and it helped us sort of rejuvenate our relationship as I got older, and he mellowed a little bit, and I sort of became more forgiving of his ways, I guess. And because when you're growing up, you rebel against your parents a lot of the time, don't you? It's like everything that they stand for, you don't want to stand for. So I didn't really have much time for his values, But I think that, as you get older, you mellow as well, and you understand that, man, he came from a different time, and you accept the person he is. And when he passed away, it was actually, I thought it was in February, but it took so long for the funeral to happen. It actually happened in January.
Yeah.
So it's just over a year ago now that he passed away. Those memories come back, and me and you were talking, obviously, about this, and you sort of said, I said I'd love to do this comic, and you very kindly said, "Fuck it, let's do it. Let's make it happen."
Yeah,
yeah. Makes
I
me
think
do
you know something? I know you had your differences with your dad, but I think he'd be very proud of you. The stuff that you accomplished in the last couple of years, and I think that's, I think the old saying that sons were put in this earth to trouble their fathers, right? And we all have a bit of that. It's all a bit of that, right? But no, I think this is a great tribute to your dad. And I think, honestly, that comic book fans are going to love this book. As I say, I was blown away by the artwork. I mean, see, when you're writing scripts and stuff, you kind of have I'm very visual when I write scripts. I haven't seen Valley of Ganji at all, right?
Oh, so really?
I'm coming to this just with this sort of blank slate. Obviously, Flesh. So, Pat and I have had conversations about Flesh, over the years and stuff. And this isn't kind of pays a little bit of tribute to everything, because I think Flesh is so embedded in the UK comic psyche that it's hard not to. But it's very different. The themes are very different. The two stories are completely different from Flesh. We don't have like a Valley of Ganji wasn't it a sideshow or something like that? That the dinosaurs were something like that. We don't have that in either. So this is completely new.
It is different.
It is so just to allay anybody's fears that we're not ripping anything off, where this is a completely new thing. But I will set time aside and watch that film, because elephants versus dinosaurs, that could be the next big comic book you and I do. That could be elephants versus dinosaurs. Who wins?
Well, I'm not going to spoil it for anyone who hasn't seen the movie, but yeah, check out that scene. It's it's and the thing about that movie that I loved so much, and like all of those sort of movies, really, that have that sort of fantasy element to them. It's just that mix of genres. You've got the Western side of it in there. You've got the dinosaurs. You've got the fantasy element, because how do dinosaurs exist with cowboys? That's like, and how they do that. It's a really simple explanation, and I think we do sort of tip the hat a little bit to that.
It's hard. Yeah, it's hard not to. I think just, whenever you said to me Cowboys versus dinosaurs, I mean, the images that were coming in my mind, I mean, if this is successful and we do issue two is going to be very interesting, because we start to delve in a little bit more into the technology that would have to have evolved to sort of help humans in this new world, because this is essentially now we have an alternative timeline.
Yeah.
So, get excited, Zeppelin balloons fighting pterodactyls.
Yeah.
All that really cool stuff. But this is the origin story. This is how the dinosaurs come into being with cowboys, and some of the artwork. Just as I keep saying this, because it's so weird for me. It still is weird for me, even though I've written about 7 or 8 comics now. It's still weird for me to see this artwork and my words in there and the thing crafted. I don't know if that's ever going to get old.
No, I don't think I mean, I've written comics in the past, and it never ceases to amaze me what the artist brings to the table. Especially when you allow them to. And I think this script does that. It's very visual. The more you let the artist do their thing, the more you get from it.
Yeah, it's a unique medium, because you do have that synthesis, between the writer and the artist, in a way that you wouldn't have with an illustrated book, for example.
No.
And that's the lovely thing about comics.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I love comics. I think. I mean, I was not much older than 3 either when I started reading comics. And I think the first comic I read was a monster comic.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, probably something like a Jack Kirby Monsters comic or something like that.
Right.
So and the first superhero comics I read were probably, I mean, it's hard to remember, but probably Fantastic Four. Again, Kirby stuff. And that was full of monsters, and they were monsters. It had this sort of edgy sci-fi fantasy element to it, the Fantastic Four, which was what I loved about it. I wasn't really so much into the superheroic side of it. It was more the sci-fi, traveling to strange worlds element of it. Right. That I loved, and it just had that quality that other superhero comics didn't quite have, and I think that's what a lot of Fantastic Four stuff that comes out now misses out on. I don't think they use that enough. That element of the idea. They treat it as a just pure superheroics. But there's so much more going on in with the story possibilities. I mean, John Byrne got it. When he did his run on Fantastic Four, he pushed that element a lot more, and Mark Waid as well did, and that was a great run. And he coined the idea Imaginauts, which I really like. That was a really cool idea. So I'm going off on one now.
Well, I'll go off on one, but I'll tie it back into a comic.
Yeah,
my first comic that I ever got was Transformers.
Oh,
Marvel
wow!
UK Transformers, and I didn't get a lot of comics as a kid. I really didn't. But you had the Dinobots in there, and cool. I loved Grimlock, and and I thought that was really cool. Like you had robotic dinosaurs, and you had but yeah, I loved that. I'd love to meet Simon Fullman, wasn't it? Simon
Thurman, yeah. I know Simon pretty well, actually.
I'd love to meet that guy.
Watching Simon, hi.
Yes, because that was my start into comics, and I didn't. And then for a very, very long time. So after that, it was Transformers, Real Ghostbusters, and Thundercats. I used to get.
It was a great time. That was a great period. really was. Marvel UK back then,
And
really
yeah,
inventive.
it was powerful writing as well. And then I didn't get comics until 2007, when my brother-in-law brought down this cardboard box, this rotting cardboard box full of 2000 AD comics. That's what started my. I think that's what started my comic book career.
Yeah.
And then I started reading these things, and then posting reviews, and then Pat and I became friends. And that's whenever I read Flesh, and I thought, this is great.
Yeah.
And I think that's the one tribute we do pay to Flesh is the viciousness of this comic.
It's quite
violence. Yeah. I can't write anything that's not violent. I've got this reputation now. It's full of Pat always taught me that it wasn't. You didn't say violence. You said action. Full of action.
Yeah. So
it's full of action.
Action with dinosaurs eating.
Action with eating people. And you get your now. I have to say, don't go expecting. Don't come to this expecting accurate historic dinos here, because we've got everything in there. Allosaurus, we've got T-Rex, we've got Stegosaurus, we've got Triceratops.
We are all the eras, haven't we?
They're all there.
There's an explanation for that, though. It
yes, we do. We put that in. I suppose I have to plug the fact that I'm writing an actual dino book. So it's being published later this year, and I've written an actual historical dino book.
Yeah. So you do know your shit then. It's the
I mean, yeah, I'm a bit like you, because when I remember, like, my earliest memories of sort of like loving dinosaurs came from coloring books. Like my mum would have got me like a big dinosaur coloring book, and but obviously Jurassic Park '94. I was a wee one. And I was queuing outside with my sister. He's older than me. We were queuing outside, waiting to get into the cinema to see Jurassic Park. And I remember watching that film and just was in awe of that film. I still am. I still go back to it.
It holds up so well. You watch it now, it still looks solid as hell. Like the first Jurassic Park movie, I think, it really brought back dinosaurs into the cinema, didn't it?
And I mean, I've seen Jurassic World, watched the first Jurassic World one. And a shout out to Denise Siensen. Her husband Scott wrote the novelizations of Jurassic Park 3.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, he was the dino guy. When we started this project, I was chatting to Denise. He created Dinotopia as well, and I was chatting to Denise about it, because Scott's passed on now a couple of years, and we were chatting about she was very helpful. So I was sort of like, oh, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? Yeah. And she got me quite switched on to dinos, because it's actually it's so different from writing like Dracula or Dark Legacies or Doctor Who or whatever, right? And now you're writing about dinosaurs, and it was a bit of a challenge for me. Yeah, to do that, it's different.
I suppose it's difficult, isn't it? Because you've got to have compelling characters in there interacting with the dinosaurs. You can't just have dinosaurs, you got
and the dinosaurs have got to interact with each other. So I mean, it's not just cowboys versus dinosaurs, but dinosaurs are eating each other as well. They're attacking each other and they're fighting each other. That happens. So I wrote about pheromones, and didn't try and get too technical, but basically in some of the text stories, it's sort of like, okay, why are the dinosaurs? Certain dinosaurs have an attraction to certain pheromones, and that's where the sort of the combative aspect comes into it. And some paleontologists think that was the case. That was how the T-Rex was able to, find its prey and stuff through pheromones. Of course, now people are saying that dinosaurs have feathers. This is the newest form of.
That is what's understood. We haven't done that, have we? Because let's face it,
it's not cool. Yeah, we're not trying to go down the historically accurate route. We're trying to entertain people and have fun.
Yes, that is the prime directive.
That's everything that I write is about It's about people having fun and entertaining people. That's everything that I want to put out there. Is just for you to get the comic, a jaw-dropping artwork, but also a damn good story that you just enjoy and that you remember. And I think anybody who buys this comic, they're going to remember the story.
They're not going to forget it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it's one of those things that some of my publishers who publish some of my books and stuff, they see comics as throwaway. But I mean, this thing's not going to be this comic's not going to be a throwaway. This is going to be something that you actually keep and look back.
There's some beautiful standalone artwork in there as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll hopefully be able to show some of it when we launch, because obviously I've got the launch page there. If anyone's watching what's going on, we're
launching. I'm going to shut up now and let you do the launch.
Well, let's hope it works. Now, I did try and I got it all ready before the stream, so hopefully when I press go on the launch, it will actually, do what it's supposed to do.
Yeah.
But let's have a look. I'm in there now. I'm going to hit launch campaign. See what happens.
Launching.
Come
on. Oh, it's live. There we go. Hey.
We are live. Share with your friends on Facebook. I will come back to that. Yes. So what I will do, I will just pretty quick. Can I actually do that? Share on Facebook? Yes, I can. Okay. I've hit that, but it's not doing anything. But I'm going to see if I can go into the actual campaign now. So just so that we can show people some of the lovely artwork.
Sure.
Because it is just gorgeous. Because as well as John and Owen, we've also got some lovely standalone art. Actually, what I can do, I can play the trailer as well for those who haven't seen it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Hopefully, it'll work and it'll and all that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Yeah. I mean, I actually showed Bruce Boxleitner size cover. And Bruce said, is that me in the horse? And I said, it can be if you want.
That's funny you should say that, because I thought that when Cy did that and I saw that image, I thought that looks like Bruce Boxleitner on the horse.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not. But it was. He's really interested in this one, actually. He's a big Western Western
he
fan.
Loves his Westerns, doesn't he?
He's in a I have to plug his new DVD out, for Haven. Go and see that. It's great.
Yeah, looks great.
Yeah, he's but yeah, he's a keen Western historian as well. So yeah, just when I saw Cy's cover, it was like and I sent it on. I was like, yeah, it's a little bit like it, isn't it?
Well, that's cool. Like we say, it can be if he wants it to be.
Yeah.
So we've got some little glimpses of some of the interior artwork there from Owen. But this one here, I don't know if you can you see the screen there, Chris?
I can. Yeah, that's a beautiful one by Jimmy. That's a beautiful image,
beaut, isn't it? And I just love the design of it. I just love the layout, the design. It's just such a nice. So that's going to be in there as well, and we're going to do a print of that as one of the rewards as well.
Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. That captures the fact that if you're going up against a dinosaur, you don't have a hope in hell.
You're fucked. Yeah,
you're absolutely fucked. I mean, that T-Rex could just like eat the rider and the horse in one. That's just like a one bite thing there, right?
Yeah. It's that moment before death, isn't it? It's like that guy is screwed.
Yeah, he's just desperately firing his Colt there, and it's not going to do a damn thing. I mean, this is why I find this interesting. If we continue on with it, like what kind of weapons are humans going to have to start developing?
Yeah,
to combat the dinosaurs.
It's going to totally change the course of human history, isn't it? In this timeline?
Absolutely.
Yeah, and that's the interesting part. As it develops, I think that's what's going to make it really interesting. We can have a lot of fun with that. That's assuming people want us to continue with it, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. They will. They will.
And there's the main cover art by John McCrea, which is, I love that. I just love it. I love John's work. I just love it. I mean, and the reason I wanted John involved actually in this because I was a massive Hitman fan, and there was a little run of Hitman where basically there were dinosaurs in it, and John drew the best dinosaurs in that ever. And the way that people got killed by the dinosaurs and eaten by the dinosaurs, it was so graphic and yet darkly. There's a lot of dark humor in there, And I thought, and what he's done for us, I can't wait for people to see those pages because he just delivers. He really delivers on those scenes. He really does. It's great stuff.
Yeah.
We talked there a little bit about what you can get. So, as well as the extra covers, because there's the Cy Chinook cover as well, which we saw at the start. There's also going to be an exclusive Steve White cover, which is yet to be revealed.
Yes.
But I'm also going to be doing some sketch covers myself and some sketch cards. And there are going to be some exclusive prints of the cover art, and that lovely Jimmy Broxton piece as well there's going to be a print of that. And there are also going to be some chances to get some A4 commissions. Then we might add some other stuff later on. Some of the artists involved might be willing to do a couple of sketch covers for us. If that's the case, then I'll add them onto the campaign. And that, we'll watch this space for news on that. And then the rest of the campaign is just talking about everybody who's involved, as yourself, of course. Looking very handsome and dapper there.
I know. I need to get this trimmed. I grew this beard for Santa to be Santa because that's my charity bit for Christmas. I've got to get this trimmed back, man.
And there's Owen looking very sophisticated.
Yes.
A little bit of his artwork there. I love this scene as well, like the sort of introducing the characters. It's really nicely done. So we have got 4 characters initially, haven't we, Chris? Is that right?
Yeah. There's 4. So there's basically the two strips. We tell the origins of the dinos and how all this comes about slightly differently.
Yes, it's going to raise some questions. I think when people read it, it's going to be, oh, what's going on here? And I think that's good. It raises questions. It makes it interesting. Yeah, so I think it'll be fun. I think people will really enjoy this. A little bit there about John, a little glimpse, black and white art. This is before it was coloured. I just love how he does stuff. It's just there's so much energy to his work. He's a true cartoonist. He really is.
There's great kinetic movement. You get that sense of movement with the image.
Yeah, you do. You really do. And there's an illustration there from Steve White. Just as an example, this won't be in the book, this illustration, but it's an example of the kind of work that you can expect from him. And I just love Steve's stuff.
His work is in the Royal Tyrrell Museum in Alberta, and which is the largest dinosaur museum in the world.
Yeah, that must be
So
massive.
Yeah, I spent a day just wandering around it, and taking as much in as I could. Yeah, it's on my doorstep. It's about an hour or two's drive away. So,
Right.
it's a great. That was a great resource as well. But yeah, Steve's work's up in there.
Wow, that's cool. We're honoured for Steve to be involved in this. To be honest, we really are. A little bit about Jimmy there, and obviously
Jimmy
Matt, who was our colorist with John on his strip. Matt obviously does lots of work for us. He's worked on Dracula. He's worked on Dark Legacies. And it's just always a pleasure to work with Matt. He brings so much to the artwork. He's a great colorist. And who else we got on? Rob Jones, our letterer, who's also worked with us on various projects. And there we go. That is the campaign.
And there's a theme here. Like since Stas with Dark Legacies, every artist is going to have a cookie photograph now. There's kind of like a theme now going. I think it's like Stas's picture for the Dark Legacies issue.
Oh yeah, it was the pull in the face, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, he made you put that up as well. This is the one I want. This is what I want to be immortalized for. Put that out. And also, I think we can talk a little bit about the wider scope of the project as well.
Let's talk.
So we are in discussions with a video game company about Dinos versus Cowboys becoming a video game. Work might be starting on that this year.
Exciting.
Yeah. And then you came up with a great idea about an art book with a couple of text stories in there. So that will be probably the next project with Dinos, I think.
That came about simply because loads of artists. It started with Jimmy actually when he sent me that image. It's like, oh, here's an image for you. It's like, yeah, okay, thanks, mate. That's awesome. Yeah. And then lots of other artists started sending me stuff or just saying to me, I want to be involved in this project. I want to do some dinosaur stuff. I love westerns, blah, blah, blah. And I think it just sparked like a lot of inspiration in a lot of people. I think, maybe it's a certain generation who grew up with these movies as well. When we were kids watching The Land That Time Forgot, Journey to Center of the Earth, that sort of stuff. And we grew up on this stuff. And the idea of being able to even just do an image inspired by, 20th century dino movies, it's just exciting. So there's a lot of people got in touch. So rather than just trying to fit everything into this book, which would just not be doable, just came up with the idea of a possible art book. And then, of course, I thought, well, we've got some more story to tell. Maybe we could put some text stories in there as well.
Yeah. I think, we could maybe start designing some of the weapons and things like that, and all airships and things. I think that would be cool.
That'd be cool. That'd be cool.
So, folks, back this project and you'll get lots of dinos and lots of cowboys in the future.
Yes. Yeah, there's a lot of story ideas. There's a lot of world building that we're still, really keen to do. So, but obviously this book's the first one. We want to establish that people actually do have a hunger for it. It seems that there is. When I started posting about it online, there was a lot of interest. I think a lot of people really love this stuff. And we have ensured that, we've got some of the greatest artists involved. And it's just brilliant. I've really enjoyed sort of with you putting it together, and every aspect of it has just been and I think the artists have too. John's commented on a couple of occasions how much he's enjoyed doing the strip. It's always helps, doesn't it? As a working artist, if you're enjoying what you're doing, if you have some love for it, you're always going to go that extra mile, aren't you?
Well, I always try and in my scripts, I try not to be too descriptive. I try and give the artist room to breathe in the scripts. Because I say it's a collaboration. It's my scripts are detailed, but they're just not. They're not. You must draw it this way, and this angle, and that's up to the artist's imagination. That's why they're the best in the business, because they've got an imagination and they can do all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think this was the most challenging thing I've written.
Oh, really?
So far.
Would you say?
I honestly do think that, because you have to make it engaging. It's and you're writing about dinosaurs, and people think, well, you just have lots of fights and stuff, but you've got to have a level of characterization. You've got to have not just the humans, but you've got to have something there that the dinosaurs are that they stand out. And if you go back to Flesh, One Eye is the classic example of that.
Yeah.
And the character that keeps coming back. Like 2008 keeps bringing One Eye back. Even I think she was in Judge Dredd at one stage as well. And all of that kind of stuff. That was very powerful. So I was looking at Pat's. I always look at Pat's work for that and see how you can take essentially non-verbal characters, but project some personality with that as well.
I think that's really important. And Pat was actually really good at that.
He's one of the greatest writers he's one of the greatest living comic book writers out there. I mean, I think he's up there with Frank Miller. And apparently it's controversial now to say you like Frank Miller's stuff.
It is these days, isn't it?
He's
some of the greatest comics of all time. But
it's every writer has their missteps. I don't get involved. I've no interest in politics at all in my work. I just want to write good stories. And when I look back at Frank's stuff, very fucking powerful. I mean, just touching on Jimmy Broxton's upcoming comic as well. I've been very vocal about it. I think it's going to be one hell of a strip as well, because Jimmy's uncompromising when it comes to storytelling, which I think is very important.
I'm really excited about Fully Loaded. I think it's going to be a lot of fun, but it's going to be a very powerful story as well. I think it's Jimmy's writing debut as well. I mean, he's written short stories before. This is his writing debut on a full book. I'm really excited about that.
Yeah, I think Jimmy's work always speaks to me of like Frank Miller stuff, or so that's just we're going off topic, I suppose. But I just wanted to plug that because I'm really looking forward to that one. And that's kind of the writing style I put into this as well. As fun as it is, there's an uncompromising aspect to it, and I write in a very visceral style, I think. This was this
thanks to the ground, mate. It really does, what the artists have done with your script, I think you only know this better than me, but it feels to me like they've really got it. They've taken what you've written and they've just taken it to the next level.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think that's because they've been allowed to do that, because it isn't an overly prescriptive script.
We do that with everything. I mean, Dark Legacies issue 1, there's this particular splash page that when you get to it, so the cat's out of the bag now about the Dark Legacies TV show, so we can talk about that a little bit if you want. We're allowed to talk about it.
As long as you're sure, mate.
Well, look, yesterday Bruce and Claudia talked about it in their panel at MegaCon.
Yeah,
there's now articles online about it.
Okay.
So I don't know if our agent starts shouting at me tomorrow. Fuck it. It's not my fault. It's out there. So, like, one of the lovely things. I mean, again, this is a tribute to both Glenn and Stas. Is that when we were initially going towards, like, when the production team were looking at this, and we have a very senior person who's worked at Sky and worked at various different levels in AMC and all those kind of production companies. He took issue 1 and he said this can be 1-to-1 with the TV show.
Well, just like adapted straight from the comic.
Straight from the comic.
Why?
And he said to me, like, you don't realize it, but your scripts, everything you write, it's pretty much, it's geared towards TV. And I'm not a TV writer at all. So that was news to me. But it was the fact the artists, what they did with Dark Legacies issue 1 and how they did that. And it's the same with Glenn. Glenn's style is slightly different from Stas's, and he's there's definitely a Mobius influence with Glenn stuff for issue 2. But again, there's a cinematic quality to it.
Yeah.
Exactly the same with Chris Geary and David Hitchcock for Dracula. And with this as well, I wouldn't count out this coming to being an animated show or something.
That'd be cool.
There's something about the artists that we use. There's always some level of cinematic projection within the panels. But yeah, I can say that Dark Legacies, like Stokerverse, there'll be a TV show.
That's exciting.
Exciting.
I'm really interested. Did you say it was probably animated as well?
Yeah, I mean, the reason why we were looking at animate it was because we want all the stars that we've brought in. I mean, this has been Dark Legacy has been such a ride for me. You know, it was actually Bruce and Claudia signed a copy for me yesterday. And Claudia's comment was, "What a wild ride!" You know, on the comic. But we have like names like Christopher Lloyd. We've got people from Terminator, Star Trek. Obviously Babylon 5. All these people interested in being a part of it. And if we keep the comics going, you'll see those people in the comics.
And of course, an animated version allows all of those guys.
Exactly.
Yeah,
that is exactly it.
Yeah.
Walter Koenig plays a major part in issue 2 and 3, and we want Walter in the show, and like Walter's in 91 or something like.
Wow.
So it's trying to do a live action show that could be a bit different and difficult. And the thing with animation is, especially with the animated studio that we've gone with, is that you can pretty much do anything you want. It's like comics. You can pretty much do anything you want. And if you can envision it, you can get it onto the screen. So I think the animated medium, people don't realize how powerful it is. I mean, it's not just for cartoons anymore.
It's just another way of telling a story, isn't it?
It's another way of telling a story. And
I love animated stuff. I mean, I probably watch more animated stuff than live action, to be honest.
I started because I scripted Astro Boy, so that was my introduction. I did Astro Boy last year, and that was my first foray into like writing for an animated show. So my bosses were just like, there was a deluge of watch this and do this, and I had to watch a lot of Astro Boy's history. What's it called? Go Astro Boy, I think it is. I think that's the title of the show.
Right.
And so we scripted that, and just freedom, the freedom with it. It was incredible.
Yeah, you don't have the same budget constraints, do you?
You don't, and you can do so much. And whenever I was working with our script guys for Dark Legacies, that was I was saying, well, can we do this? Can we do that? And it's like, we can do anything you want. And one of the dreams of the Stokerverse as well is that we would do an animated Dracula. Like we were close to getting that off the ground a year or two ago. It's still on the table, but that would be like to do the authentic recreation of Dracula.
That'd be really interesting. I'd really like to see how that would be stylized. Because it's gothic horror at the end of the day, and that's quite hard to do in animation. I think as a genre.
Vampire Hunter D did it very well.
Yeah, I was just going to mention that actually. Yeah, they did it as well. Yeah,
it was good.
Blood,
that sort of old school anime. It's pretty powerful. But so with this, I could see Cowboys versus Dinosaurs, and maybe like going into the animated world.
That'd be great. I think that'd be really fun. I think you could do a lot with that.
But we've got to get our Indiegogo off the ground. So
yes, we have.
If you want to see all this stuff, folks, pledge. Yeah. Please pledge.
That's it. Because obviously none of this happens without the help of our supporters. As I said before, this book's going to happen anyway. Whether whatever happens, sheer force of will, I'm going to make sure this happens because it's very important to me, and I know it is to you as well, mate. So, as I said before, it is dedicated to my old man. So it matters a lot to me that this book comes out. So I'm going to make sure it does. But obviously, it's a lot easier if it gets the support that it needs to cover all of the costs. That would be absolutely amazing.
And we've got 2 backers already.
Oh, have we? Oh, wow. I switched off.
Thank you very much. Thanks very much to our backers.
I should point out that all the backers, if you back the project in the first 24 hours, not only do you get the option of a discounted copy of the book as an early bird, you also will be entered into a draw to win an oversized art print of the beautiful Jimmy Broxton T-Rex and Dinosaur image. And that'll be a one-off art print because the prints, they'll be smaller, the prints that we give away. Well, we're not giving them away, that we put on pledges for the print sets, but this will be a large, oversized art print, and it'll be a one-off. And I'll probably twist Jimmy's arm, see if he'll sign it for us, and I'll see. I can't put any promises there, but that'll be, we'll do a draw for that of all the one-day backers. So if you'd like a copy of that beautiful image, oversized, be a first day backer, and you'll be put in the draw. So yeah, I guess we should wrap it up, mate.
Yeah.
We've been gabbling on for over 45 minutes now.
I know.
But yeah, it's always good to talk to you, and I've loved working on this with you, mate.
Thank you.
Let's hope it goes into the future and we can keep doing it forever.
Yeah, I've got lots of ideas for this one, and with so many, again, it just keeps coming back to the artists and how some of the artists that we've got on board, it always blows me away.
Yeah.
And that's we're very lucky to have them. So back the book, you won't regret it. And you'll make not just Shane and myself happy, but a whole lot of artists happy as well.
Oh yeah, and I should just point out, if Indiegogo isn't your platform of choice, which I know for some people it isn't for one reason or another, or you just don't want to open another account with a different platform, and you're used to using Kickstarter, a small Kickstarter campaign will be running. It'll be opening next week, I should think, and that is for people who, for one reason or another, haven't signed up to Indiegogo or don't use Indiegogo. You can also go onto Kickstarter and back it on there. It's a very low target because it's just to give those people a chance, because we don't want anyone to miss out on this book, basically. And a couple of people did say, I don't really use Indiegogo. And that's fine. You can go and do the Kickstarter, and you can still get the book. It's an identical campaign. The only thing that isn't on there is the Indiegogo exclusive edition with the Steve White cover, because that is an exclusive. So there you go. All right then. Thanks again, Chris.
Yeah, it was good to chat.
Yeah, always, mate. Always. I will see you again soon. We'll talk again soon, I'm sure. Thanks everyone for tuning in. And thanks to all our early backers. Cheers.
Bye, folks. Bye-bye. Bye.
Bye-bye.